June 9th, 2026. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, ChatGPT's biggest rival, releases the most powerful AI it has ever built. It's called Fable 5, and the deal for subscribers sounds beautifully simple. If you already pay for Claude, Fable 5 is included, no extra charge, 2 weeks minimum to try the smartest model on the market. 3 days later, it was gone. Not slowed down, not rationed, switched off and by an order from the United States government. And I want to tell you what happened over the next 28 days, the shutdown, the comeback, the fine print, and the bills. Because that one chaotic month accidentally pulled the curtain back on something most of us never stop to think about. What an AI subscription actually is, what you're really buying when you tap subscribe. So here it is, the whole video in one sentence. You don't really buy AI, you rent a meter you can't see. And for 28 days, Fable 5 made it visible. Full disclosure before we start, and this matters, the video you are watching right now was produced with Fable 5. This isn't a story I researched from the outside. The limits I'm about to describe changed while I was using them. Before the timeline, how this business actually works. One idea and everything that follows will feel obvious. When you pay $20 a month for an AI, it feels like Netflix. Flat price, all you can eat. Except it's not Netflix, not even close. This ain't one of those all-you-can-eat buffets. Every question you ask, an AI burns real computing power, chips, electricity, cooling, and the company pays for that burn by the token. A token is roughly a chunk of a word. That long back and forth conversation you had yesterday, thousands of tokens. And when you ask it to write your whole essay for you, that runs tens of thousands. Every single one of them costs the company money, every single time. So an AI subscription is really a buffet with a hidden kitchen cost. You pay a flat fee at the door, and the kitchen quietly tracks every plate you take. As long as the average customer eats less than the fee, the business works. That usage limit buried in your plan, that's the tally. It was always there, just measured in units they never show you. Now, here's what made Fable 5 special and dangerous to that arrangement. It's what Anthropic calls a Mythos class model, a bigger brain that costs genuinely more to run. On the pay-as-you-go lane, reported pricing put it at roughly double their previous best model. Double. So the moment a subscriber switches to Fable 5, they start eating from the same buffet twice as fast. So ask the question the way an accountant would. What happens when you hand your most expensive dish ever to every customer in the restaurant on the same day? Day 1, June 9th, the launch. Fable 5 lands in every paid plan, and for 3 days, the timeline is pure honeymoon. People call it the best model they've ever used. Day 4, June 12th. The United States government issues an export control order, the same kind of rule that restricts advanced chips, requiring Anthropic to verify who exactly was using its most powerful model. Access suspended, worldwide, 3 days of the 2 promised weeks. Day 15, June 23rd. While the model is still switched off, the original included in your subscription window runs out, on schedule. The clock never stopped, the model did. Subscribers watched their promised 2 weeks burn away on a product they couldn't touch. From here, touching Fable 5 means buying usage credits, pay as you go, at full rates. One user reported burning $92 on a single unfinished coding prompt. $92. One question. Day 22, July 1st. The government lifts the order. Fable 5 comes back everywhere but read the fine print on the comeback. Subscribers now get it at half their normal weekly usage, half. And day 28, today, as I record this, Fable 5 leaves subscriptions entirely, credits only. Anthropic says it isn't permanent. It comes back when sufficient capacity allows. The reaction wrote itself. We got 3 days of the 14 we were promised. Tech press ran headlines about furious subscribers. And look, I try to be fair on this channel, and we will be in a minute. But let me land the verdict first. Whatever the reasons, what subscribers experienced was sold as included and delivered as a coupon. Before we talk about the pattern, I want to show you the reaction itself, not my summary of it. Real posts from the week this happened, because the comments tell you things press releases never will. This was the top comment on Hacker News. No editorializing, just 2 quotes side by side. Last month, we aimed to restore Fable 5 as a standard part of subscription plans as quickly as we can. Today, no longer included in your plan's weekly usage limits. The whole controversy in 4 sentences. The anger came fast. A crazy bait and switch. Surprised it's even legal. Makes me feel like cattle they're unsubtly milking. Harsh? Maybe. But remember, these are paying customers, not bystanders. And the meter shows up everywhere once you know to look for it. This user on the $200 plan just tried 2 or 3 prompts and my 5-hour window is exhausted. That's the double burn rate we talked about, showing up in someone's actual bill. Then there's the theory that goes one level deeper. This commenter thinks the scarcity is the marketing. People praise the model precisely because they can't have it. And when it comes back, the hype comes back with it. I can't prove that, but I can't fully dismiss it either. And to be fair, the smartest comment I found is a defense. This user runs the math straight. At peak hours, capacity is genuinely scarce. A 50% cap keeps everyone in the game, and the balance takes time to bake. That's the capacity story, told by a user, more convincingly than the company told it. And my favorite genre, the predictions. On Hacker News, I bet my house they changed their mind. On X this very morning, Anthropic will announce Fable 5 is staying on the top plan. And within hours, OpenAI launches GPT 5.6. Strap in, everyone can see the walk back coming. Hold that thought for the next chapter. But this post might be the sharpest one of all, acting like they're the only provider. They're not. Remember that line, because a meter only has power over you when you can't walk away. Here's the thing that stops this from being an Anthropic story. It keeps happening because the math is the same everywhere. Summer 2025, Cursor, an AI coding app thousands of developers pay for, replaces its 500 fast requests plus unlimited slow ones plan with a credit pool pegged to raw compute prices. For heavy users, the effective cost jumped as much as 20 times. The backlash was so fierce the CEO publicly apologized and paid refunds. 1 month later, OpenAI launches GPT-5 and switches every ChatGPT user onto it, with a hard weekly cap on its thinking mode. Users revolt. Within days, Sam Altman restores the old model, raises the cap from 200 messages a week to 3,000 and says, his words, "We totally screwed up." Cursor, OpenAI, Anthropic, 3 different companies, 1 identical arc, generous flat promise, the limits bite, public walkback. And I don't think any of them set out to trick anyone. They all made the same bet, charge flat and pray the average user stays cheap. AI keeps breaking that bet because unlike Netflix, where 1 more hour of streaming costs them almost nothing, 1 more hour of a frontier, AI costs them real money. And the better the model, the worse the bet. To be fair to Anthropic specifically, a government order freezing your product mid-promo is genuinely bad luck. Mythos class compute is genuinely scarce. If you watched our Perplexity episode, this is the same invisible wall seen from the customer's side of the counter. And they're saying the exit is temporary. Here's my marked speculation. I'd bet Fable comes back to subscriptions within months, at a smaller ration, with the numbers printed a little closer to the surface. Now I'm genuinely curious, have you hit one of these invisible walls yourself? A plan that quietly changed underneath you, AI or otherwise? Tell me the story in the comments. I read them all, and honestly, they're half the research for episodes like this one. So what do you actually do with this? First, the rule, the way I see it after living inside this story for a month. A flat rate AI subscription is a bet the company makes against your usage. When they lose the bet, they don't change the price. They change the rules. Once you see it that way, none of this feels like betrayal. It's just the business model showing through. Second, the practical read. Find your plan's actual limits. The usage page, not the pricing page. Treat every unlimited as until further notice. And when a company hands you its most expensive product for free, ask how long that math can possibly last. Because here's the part bigger than one model. Every AI product you touch is a thin layer of packaging around metered compute. The subscription, the credits, the caps, that's packaging. The compute underneath is the product. The machine doesn't care what your plan promised. It cares what the compute costs. We told the other half of this story already, the company that rents its brain instead of owning one. If you want to see the wall from the builder's side, watch our Perplexity episode next. See you there.